The Blackwood Curse. Anya and her husband had decided to leave the hustle and bustle of London and spend a weekend camping in the Scottish Highlands. They hadn't been adventurers for a while, so the idea of getting away into nature excited them. They arrived at the campsite at sunset, set up their tent among the tall Scottish pines silhouetted against the orange sky, and lit a campfire that crackled happily, casting dancing shadows on the rocks around them. The first night was perfect. They fell asleep to the sound of the wind in the trees and the distant murmur of a stream winding through the valley. It sounded like a gentle lullaby. But when the sun set on the second night, a sense of unease started to grow inside Anya. She couldn't pinpoint what was making her uncomfortable, but the feeling of being watched was undeniable. She tried to ignore her fears, thinking it was just her mind playing tricks in the dark forest. However, the feeling didn't go away. It only grew stronger with every shadow that lengthened and every creak of a branch. Anya wasn't the only one feeling uneasy. They decided to take a walk to calm their nerves, taking a flashlight to guide them. In the dark, they walked along a narrow, damp path, lined with thick vegetation that blocked their view. The leaves crunched under their feet, and every moving branch made them jump. Soon, they came across an old cemetery, forgotten and covered in a swirling mist like a white ghost. The gravestones, some toppled and others shrouded in thick moss, stood as twisted shadows under the moonlight, their inscriptions barely legible. The place had an air of abandonment and profound sadness that chilled their blood. In the center of the cemetery, a large oak tree, gnarled and ancient, its branches stretching like skeletal claws towards the sky, seemed to guard the cursed place. "Let's go back to the campsite," Anya suggested, her voice trembling. They agreed, but as they turned around, the air felt heavier, and the shadows grew unnaturally long, twisting into grotesque shapes on the gravestones. A cold wind howled through the trees, causing the dry branches to creak ominously and stirring the grass as if touched by invisible hands. The flashlight flickered, sputtered, and went out, plunging them into an oppressive, suffocating darkness. They picked up their pace, desperately trying to retrace their steps. Yet, no matter which direction they ran, they always ended up back at the cemetery, facing the same large gravestone that seemed to mock their plight. Panic surged as they stumbled over roots and stones, their frantic shouts echoing through the night. The creaking of branches grew louder, as if something unseen was pursuing them, its presence growing more oppressive with each passing moment. Every attempt to escape led them to that cursed gravestone. Exhausted and disoriented, Anya collapsed, gasping for breath. Her husband struggled to help her up, but their strength was waning. A chilling whisper, faint yet pervasive, brushed their ears, as if hundreds of mournful voices were calling their names from beyond the veil of darkness. At that moment, a spectral figure emerged from one of the graves. Tall and thin, wrapped in a black cloak that fluttered like dark smoke, its eyes glowed with a demonic, fiery red. The creature approached them with a slow, deliberate gait, its arms extended as though to ensnare them. A shiver ran from their toes to their heads, their dread palpable. They knew, with a horrifying clarity, that they had trespassed into a realm where no mortal should venture. "You will never leave here," the creature intoned, its voice echoing with a deep, guttural resonance that seemed to vibrate through their bones. With a sweeping gesture, the oak tree in the center of the cemetery began to emanate a ghostly light, casting eerie, flickering shadows that seemed to pulse with malevolent energy. The mist thickened, swirling around them in a suffocating embrace, their cries for help lost amidst the encroaching darkness. And so, they remained trapped in that forsaken place, their fates sealed, doomed to wander eternally with the tormented spirits, forever under the watchful gaze of the malevolent entity that haunted the Blackwood Cemetery.